Hi, and welcome to The Myth of Hockey. So this one, I usually do stats, but this one I'm just going to go free, because the contradiction in the hockey world is absolutely incredible. How the experts continuously contradict themselves. And what I mean by that is you often hear experts when we're talking about goaltending, because the Four Nations starts tomorrow, and all the experts are talking about Canada's goaltending, how it's not good, how it's the weakest of the four teams. And when I hear this, I go bananas, because it's not. And Canada's goaltending has been fine for decades. But here's the contradiction that the experts always make. Goalies are a product of their environment, experts. They are so team dependent. In fact, they're the most team dependent position in all of professional sports. The better the systems, the better the insulation, the better the goalies will do. It's that simple. And that from shift to shift, shot to shot, period to period, game to game, season by season. The better the insulation in one period compared to the next period, obviously goalies will do better. So that's why you'll see Vasilevsky stop 25 of 25 shots in the first two periods, and then he'll give up 4 goals on the next 8 shots in the third period. What changed? Not Vasilevsky. What changed was the quality shots and the quality situations. How many times do I have to explain this? Go watch my other videos. But here, I'll give you it quickly. Quality shots entails, not in any particular order, the distance of the shot, the speed of the shot, the angle of the shot, the angle of ascent of the shot, was there puck flutter, and most importantly, shot placement, which you still do not hear the experts talk about when we're talking about quality shots. You don't hear Steve Valiquette's, whatever his, what's his website called? Clear Sight Analytics. They don't even talk about shot placement. And this is why it gets so frustrating for me, because quality shots is huge. The other one, part B, is quality situations, deflections, rebounds, screens, breakaways, 2-on-1, cross-ice passes across the Royal River. You don't hear, this is key to any goalie from shot to shot, shift to shift, period to period, game to game, season by season. If you put Connor Hellebuyck right now, you traded him to Chicago, do you think Hellebuyck has the same stats that he has in Winnipeg? Are you kidding me? They plummet. Just like if you put Mrazek, the Chicago goalie, on the insulation and the protection that the Winnipeg Jets are offering, his stats are going to skyrocket. Yes, that's right. Now, here's what the hockey world's been fooled. We keep hearing Canadian goalies the last 15 years haven't been very good. It's because they haven't been on very good NHL teams. It's really that simple. The NHL team that the goalie plays for is the product of their environment. So if Hellebuyck, again, was on San Jose the last 5 years, or Anaheim the last 5 years, and then you take Gibson and put him on Winnipeg the last 5 years, guess what happens, people? How can you not see this hockey world? It's unbelievable. So I just want to play you a couple of things. Listen to this. It's fascinating.
You know, I would love to get your thoughts on the thing that we're kind of all not talking about, because it's fun to see the lines. You wrote about the goalies. How's Canada stack up? Is it going to bury us?
Oh, I can't say that. I'm not going to go that far. There has been time. I had to take a break right in the article, I got to be honest, because I was getting to the point where I'm thinking, oh, wow, this is a problem. Mm-hmm. The reality is what it is. That's just where we are in our goaltending cycle right now. Binnington's won a cup. He knows how to get hot at the right time, and he's been in those high leverage situations. Obviously.
Stop there. Binnington has won a cup. Not the St. Louis Blues won the cup. And I invite you, I should really provide it for you. When Binnington joined the St. Louis Blues, he joined in January of the season they won the Stanley Cup. Jake Allen, the partner or the backup for the St. Louis Blues from January on, this is what you don't know, hockey world. Because Binnington, his stats were really good from January on, including winning the Stanley Cup. But Jake Allen's stats were amazing too. Why? Because they brought in a new frickin' coach in November. Does that have anything to do with it? And this is my point. The St. Louis Blues, when they won the Stanley Cup with Binnington, they had brought in Berube. They fired the coach that started October, November. They bring in Craig Berube. He brought in new systems people. So by the time they adopted and learnt the new systems by January, Jake Allen had crappy stats up until January, but from January on, Jake Allen had great stats, and so did Binnington. It wasn't Binnington that turned that team around. It was the coaching staff that changed the insulation and the frickin' protection people. And this is the point that they miss it. Let's listen further.
When you stack up against, look at the U.S., Hellebuck, Ottinger. Look at Sweden, even with Gustafsson.
Ottinger and Hellebuck. Do they or do they not, hockey fans, experts, play on two good, solid hockey teams? Now, here's the perfect example. They didn't mention Swayman. The agent of Swayman, I sent him an email when Swayman wasn't signing. I said, dude, sign the $8.5 million because your goalie is a product of his environment the last 4 years, the insulation and the protection. Swayman's not better than the average goalie. The insulation and the protection of the Boston Bruins was better the last 5 years. So right now, Swayman, he stinks. Why? Because the Bruins' insulation and protection isn't protecting him from the quality shots and the quality situations like previous years. Ottinger and Hellebuck, if you put them on Boston right now, guess what? The insulation and protection will let them down. Oh, it's so frustrating for me that I've been saying this for 30 years, that goalies are a product of their environment and nobody will listen to me. A few listen to me, but really not enough people are understanding, because we're so quick to blame the goalies when they lose, but like right now, hockey experts, including Justin Bourne and Nick Kypreos, commented. They gave both Justin Bourne and Nick Kypreos gave the goaltending for Toronto Maple Leafs. See, you can see it right here. A+, and A+, including Elliot Friedman. But look at the coaching, A and A+A. And special teams, CCC. Defense, B+, B and A. Offense, C+, B and B. So this is fascinating, and here how all three of these gentlemen were fooled again. They bring in a new coach that insulates and protects the goalies better. They bring in new defensemen to insulate and protect the goalies better. The forwards play more of a defensive style, and it shows in their stats. They're not pumping shots on the opposing goalie as much as they did in previous years. But all of a sudden, these gentlemen think the goaltending's just miraculously better. And by the way, let me show you this. Here's a Facebook post I made September 5th. There, right there. See it? See that? I called it. Because my research of 30 years knows that goalies are a product of their environment. The better the insulation and the protection. Yes, I'm repeating myself, but I really got to hammer this home because it seems like nobody's understanding, especially the experts. I knew that the Leaf goalies were as good as any goalies in the league. And I knew they would have a good season this year. That's why I called it, because Berube and the new defensemen and the new systems and the defensive and the forwards playing more defensive minded, protecting their goalie, insulating and protecting them more. Like it's so unbelievable to me. And let's continue this.
There's a really good chance that there's an element of this being part of a cycle, just a downtick. But I also think, Jason,
What's the cycle? What does that even mean? So this is Kevin Woodley, a so-called goalie expert. What is the cycle? What does that even mean, the cycle? We're in a down cycle for Canadian goalies. No, we're not. They just haven't played for really good NHL teams. If Vasilevsky was on my Toronto Maple Leafs, do you think he's winning Stanley Cups? Are you kidding me? Do you think Vasilevsky was on the New York Islanders the last few years? No, he's not winning Stanley Cups for the Islanders. So right now, as we speak, Kemper, Thompson, and, well, let's just stick with those two to keep it simple. I don't want to put too many names into it. Darcy Kemper and Logan Thompson right now are studs right now, statistically. Do you think they just flipped a switch this year, the two of them? Because that's what experts are saying. And here's the contradiction. Oh, they're playing lights out, those two goalies this year. Why aren't they on Team Canada? No. The Washington Capitals are better protecting and insulating Thompson, and the LA Kings are better insulating and protecting Kemper. How do you not see this, hockey world? Like, are you kidding me right now? Like, it's so frustrating that we continue to do this for 25, 30 years. Martin Brodeur wasn't a great goalie that had played great systems, and his save selections were superior to other goalies. The systems were amazing. The Devils' systems and the insulation and protection was the best ever from 1994 to 2004. It was the best insulated and protected a goalie has ever been. But somehow we think Brodeur is one of the best goalies of all time. It's absolute nonsense how we keep giving the goalies the credit, but then we contradict ourselves right after by saying, oh, listen.
Prior generation that we just lost, that just retired, over my left shoulder is Price, over my right shoulder behind the microphone is Luongo, Fleury, Brodeur, Roy, like that used to be the depth, right? And
Fleury, a great goalie, or were the Pittsburgh Penguins with Crosby, Letang, Malkin, the systems, the insulation. Fleury was a great goalie, or did he play for a really great hockey team?
So to have lost so many of them and not see a next generation coming up behind them, I do think it would be naive to ignore that. And I do think there's multiple factors.
So all of the goalie coaches we have in Canada, think of them. There's hundreds of them. The OHL, the CHL, right? The CHL, the umbrella of the OHL, W and Q. You don't think there's good goalie coaches, Kevin? How insulting. How insulting to the goalie coaches of Canada that you think that it's just, we're in a lull. Not that there hasn't been a great NHL team that just happens to employ a really good Canadian goalie. No, not at all. It's infuriating.
Some of it is that other nations have gotten a lot better. Like, this isn't so much, are we doing anything different? But at a time when so many other countries are putting so many other resources into it, we just haven't. Like, we really, really haven't.
Again, an insult to the goalie coaches of Canada. An absolute insult to them, Kevin. You're not an expert. You haven't done your research. I've tried talking to you, Kevin, over years, and you call me a fool. Because I've done the research way more than you have. I've dug deep. I can prove to you a Brodeur is overrated, but you just ignore me as some fool. It's sad.
We've actually taken a step back here in Canada in the last number of years. It used to be there was a program of excellence every summer. I took part in it a couple of summers. It was
program of excellence. Yeah, Hockey Canada hasn't hired the right goalie coaches for Team Canada World Juniors. It's pathetic. And listen to this, too.
Boy, oh boy, is this going to go poorly for Canada's management group if the goaltending is horrific. Because I tuned into the Blackhawks Blues game to watch Binnington before the break. He let in 5 goals against the Chicago team that stinks out loud.
Okay, do yourselves a favor. Go watch the 5 goals that were scored on Binnington a week and a half ago against Chicago, or a week ago, whatever it was. Go watch the 5. Maybe I should show them. The 5 goals on Binnington, 4 of the 5, maybe all 5, Vasilevsky doesn't stop. Hellebuyck doesn't stop. Shesterkin doesn't stop. Swayman, Ottinger, they don't make those saves. Some of them were off the bar down and in. And there here it is in a nutshell. He let them in. He doesn't talk about, this is JD Bunkus, doesn't talk about the shot quality of the 5 goals that beat Binnington. He just assumed, because there was 5 goals on Binnington, or 4, whatever it was, he just assumed the goalie should have made the save. Well, guess what, JD? Some shots are impossible to make saves on because the puck is traveling at such a speed that the goalie cannot manufacture a tracking save on. That ever cross your mind? Or are you just going to hammer Binnington and literally make fun of him?
And I thought, oh, what's his save percentage? Oh, it's sub 900. You look at all 3 of the goalies they've brought and all of their stats. There's not one guy who's performed extremely well since they named the team.
So he looked at save percentage on the 3 Canadian goalies. And he says they're all doing poorly. And here's the contradiction again. So I love the hockey world and the hockey experts that think goalies manufacture their own save percentages, their own goals against averages. You don't think, JD, you don't think that and all experts, you don't think that the save percentage and the goals against average has anything to do with the insulation and the protection? You think that the 3 Canadian goalies, because they're around 900 or sub 900 right now, it's all their fault? It has nothing to do with the St. Louis Blues? What is the St. Louis Blues, JD, a really good hockey team with a goalie that's not performing well? Is Vegas really insulating and protecting their goalie really well right now? Do you know that for a fact? Like, do some research, pal.
Meanwhile, there's 3 guys that were left off that you could argue have been in the top 7, 8 guys in the entire NHL.
So there's another contradiction. He's saying, where's and I kind of mentioned that previously, but now he's talking about the 3 goalies, Thompson and Kemper and Blackwood and blah, blah, blah. What? So their stats, they just improved on their own? They just tidied that up and now they're just better goalies than they were the last couple of years? And by the way, hockey world, when I get this excuse, what do you know, Gary? You don't know anything. You think you know more than the goalie coaches and the GMs of the NHL? Well, how did all the GMs and the scouts miss and the goalie coaches miss Logan Thompson? Undrafted. And now he's the best goalie in the league or one of them? No, he's not. The Washington Capitals are just better insulating and protecting him than the Chicago Blackhawks. How does the Hawk? So again, they're just contradicting himself again.
And it feels that there was some real political stuff which led to some of these decisions. And I talked to Kevin Woodley about it. He mentioned how this is going to be like maybe the goaltenders are horses for courses type of deal. Like Canada's going to be so good defensively and funnel the types of shots that these guys handle well.
Another contradiction. He just said that maybe the Canadian defensive systems will make the Canadian goalies look good. That didn't happen with Brodeur. That didn't happen with Patrick Roy when he won for Team Canada. That didn't happen with Vasilevsky on Tampa Bay the last few years. See the contradiction, people? When goalies do really well, they assume it's the goalie. It's a goalies league. How often have you heard that? But he just said that Kevin Woodley, a goalie expert again, oh, don't worry. Maybe if the defensive systems insulate and protecting him, they'll make the goalies look good and it won't be a problem. The great contradiction of the hockey world.
But boy, oh boy, the true ripple effect in terms of where there's going to be heat is if the goaltending kills them in this tournament and it looks just completely different than the other nations.
It gets worse. Listen to this. Poor Binnington. And this is why I'm making this video, because Binnington is getting the shaft and Adin Hill is getting the shaft by the hockey experts. Listen to this.
Yeah, they're just shooting it in the net. And by the way, that is the world's most deflating thing when you're just loaded and your goalie can't stop a puck for you. Yeah. So yeah.
Just shooting it in the net. Way to cheapen the game of hockey and the goalies for Canada.
For you. Yeah. So yeah, that does sit in the back of a lot of Canadians' minds as a concern for sure. You know, it's funny because if you're a parent in Canada and have been a parent in Canada, like no one lets their best athlete be a goalie. It's like It's expensive. There's less, there's more pressure. There's so many reasons to not be a goalie. It just felt like for years we looked at like these superstar goalies we had and people were like, I want to be like that. Somewhere along the way that just kind of stopped. It's bizarre.
Well, it's like you would have thought it would have continued in Quebec when we had Carey Price. Like, where's all the Carey Price disciples?
Right.
I need those guys to emerge because, what kid is going to watch this tournament too, especially, right? Or a younger player and see Jordan Binnington or Adin Hill and go like, oh, I want to be that. That's not a thing. I don't think that's a thing.
And no, it's not. It's
how insulting. I can't wait for these gentlemen to see Binnington, and I'm posting this before the tournament even starts. I'm posting it today. The start of the tournament is tonight. I can't wait for Binnington to show these guys that they have no clue what they're talking about. Watch tonight when Binnington allows no goals, maybe one goal, because that's how good Canada is, and watch Canada win. Watch. And will these guys have the guts to apologize that they know nothing about the position of goaltender? We'll soon find out, won't we? Ugh, so frustrating. I don't know what to say. I'm really sorry to laugh and giggle at this, but it's absolutely comical. For 30 years, I've been battling the hockey world. They won't listen. Some are starting to. I've got a few ears listening to. They finally are starting to listen to what I have to say. That goalies are a product of their environment more so than any position in professional sports. Obviously, especially in hockey. The better the insulation, the better the protection, the lower the quality shots, the speed of the shot, the angle of the shot, the distance the shot's taken from, puck flutter, and puck placement. And of course, the quality situations. Yes, I'm repeating myself because I have to hit it home. Breakaways, 2-on-1s, deflections, blah, blah, blah. You put the Canadian goalies, all three of them, on the Winnipeg Jets and the Washington Capitals right now, they'll do just great. You take Hellebuyck and Thompson and you put them on weaker teams. Obviously, they will struggle. How can you not see this, hockey world? If there's anybody out there that thinks that Hellebuyck would do really well and put Chicago into a playoff spot, because I've heard some experts even say that the Winnipeg Jets are, they're maybe a playoff team, but because of Hellebuyck, they're in, a top team. It's so frustrating for me. It's like I have the cure for acne, but none of the doctors will listen to me. I have proof that goalies are the most team-dependent position in all of professional sports, but nobody will listen. I don't know what to tell you. It's frustrating. I lose sleep over this because go ahead and watch any of my videos on the Myth of Hockey on my TikTok channel. Go watch any of them and give it a chance. Let me give it some critical thinking and let me explain to you why Martin Brodeur was the product of his environment. 100%. It's not even a question. Thanks for watching as I pull my hair out.